Welcome back to Asheville on our Southern Conference basketball preview show. Time to talk Samford Bulldogs, and for the men's team, a lot of excitement last year and coming into this season. Bucky McMillan, year number 3 at the helm, guy who was unbelievably successful as a high school hoops coach not far from the Samford campus. But as I look at it, it seems like you've been there longer because your first year of the COVID season in 2021 was such a grinder for so many in college basketball, you guys as much as anyone in the Southern Conference. But do you almost feel like now you're finally at normal and kind of what you thought a college head coaching job would be like?
Yeah, obviously everybody struggled through the COVID crisis, but, things getting to normal and being able to really just have a whole roster full of players that you've recruited for how we like to play, and getting to have a lot of time with the guys. So I feel like we're in a good spot, and we're looking forward to a good season.
Don't want to be remiss in introducing the big fella sitting to his left, Logan Dye. Another guy who seems like he's been there forever because he has. He's a fifth-year senior. Logan Dye, you and I were talking about it before we came on about how many different players you played with in 2 different generations, I guess, of Samford hoops. It seems as if Coach has recruited the kind of roster to the up-tempo style he wants to play with, but you're the stalwart. It seems like you've adjusted to that pretty well.
Yeah, so like you said, I've played with, bunch of people as my career at Samford, and 2 different coaches, and this is definitely the fastest team that I've played with. It's definitely, I feel like, the best group of guys as far as everybody having the same goal, and we're just excited as anybody to come back and prove what we can do. So we just very fortunate to be a part of this team out of all the teams. So
I'm sure it opened some eyes around the league last year when suddenly you became a double-digit scorer. You'd been, from when I'd seen you, more kind of an inside help guy, get some rebounds. Your style reflects on that. Quez Glover, coming to you from Florida last year, ends up scoring nearly 20 a game, was a big part of the story as well. How important was Quez's arrival with your program, and now how do you build around him this year?
Yeah, well, first with Logan Dye right here, he's been tremendous, and he's lost weight, got his body in great shape. He had a great year last year. I've known him since he was a 7th or 8th grader. I knew he was a good player, but to see him get better every year and to be a leader and all the improvements he's made has been great, and he's going to have another stellar year. Quez Glover, the league got to see him. A kid I actually coached against him in high school. First time I saw him play, I said, man, this guy's really is a special player. And you saw that last year. Quez, in every big game, he showed up. And he's been working on different aspects of his game to get better. So we got those 2 right there who were leaders for our group last year coming back with other great players alongside of them. I think we got the makings of a good squad.
First off, I think you could probably write a really interesting book on kids you saw coming up from your days as a high school coach and doing summertime stuff, and now to see them develop 4 or 5 years later, either kids on your roster or guys who are playing around the league. It just must be a really interesting experience for you to see those different players evolve.
Yeah, one of the benefits of coaching high school basketball is that you get to see kids at a real impressionable age grow up, and you get to have an impact on them, and so it's really unique when you have players that you're not, as a college coach, most of them get to see them at 18 years old. Fortunately for me, some of these I've got to see at 12 years old, and it makes it unique. And when they walk across that graduation stage, it makes that much more rewarding.
How much does a Jermaine Marshall, a guy who came in from Akron last year, help you, Logan, inside? He was 2nd on the team in scoring, about the same amount of points you had a game. But what was it like getting a big in there to kind of help you with some of that load?
Jermaine's one of those guys that he's like a hybrid player. He can play inside, he can play outside, he can play really wherever you put him. And I would just say if you're playing on the floor with Jermaine, you want to hope that he's on your team, because he's one of those guys that if he's not, it's going to be quite a game for you to have to handle him on the offensive glass, scoring, and then on defense, he's so active. He plays with such a high motor. It's really helpful. It takes the stress off of all the 4 players on the floor, because he's going to pick up where guys are kind of lacking. He's just an incredible player to play with.
Sure. 21-win team last year. I think you opened up a lot of eyes around the league. You finished 3rd, and you had a chance to win the thing in the regular season. Several key players return in addition to this guy and the others we've mentioned. And I think a real wild card in the whole thing, A.J. Staten McCray, he gets hurt about 5 games in last year, but he's a guy at guard who, 6'5", a big on the wing. I think it's a really interesting dynamic adding him back into the mix.
Yeah, he had a good freshman year, got a lot of minutes. I think he's runner-up for freshman of the year. So he's been itching to get back out there. He's rehabbed really hard. You know, he's a very talented kid. You know, when he's working hard every single day, he's a very, very good player. And so, you know, sometimes you got to make a negative a positive. You know, and being out all for the majority of last year certainly was a negative. But I think the positive is, you know, he's hungry to come back strong. He sees what it's like to not have something that you think you're going to have every day, and that's the joy to get to play basketball. So I see a different enthusiasm and joy when he steps on the floor right now.
So let's talk about some of the newcomers, and one of them is a guy who's been around the SoCon going back about as long as you have. Bubba Parham was at VMI for a couple of years way back when. Great scorer, went to Georgia Tech. Now you've got him, and just thinking about his game, I think he kind of fits right into what you're doing.
Bubba's just a great dude. Like, I mean, he's just an awesome person, you know, and I mean, he's just a joy to be around. And when those kind of guys, when you get to coach someone like that who's as talented as he is, that doesn't happen very often. Plays hard every single day, obviously mega talented, you know, shoots it from anywhere. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league when he played in the league years ago. He was started on a team at Georgia Tech that won the ACC and put 35 points on Kentucky in Rupp Arena, you know, so very talented player, fits right into what we like to do. He'll have a great season.
And then a couple of junior college players coming in. What can they bring to the table? You've got Achora 6'9" from Chipola Junior College, and Brody Boyer, a 6'4" guard who came from down in Florida from a junior college.
Yeah, but you know, I love junior college players. I really do. If you find the right ones that have the good attitude, that value academics, that value work, you know, a lot of times when student athletes, all the benefits you get coming in as a freshman in D1, they can be taken for granted. You know, the guys came up through the JUCO ranks, you know, they're used to 15-hour bus rides. You know, you give a kid from the JUCO ranks a meal card, and it feels like they got $1 million. And so their appreciation for being at Samford and how hard they work is something that I really appreciate.
Yep.
And because of that, they're going to get better and better and better. And I've seen that this fall from them, and they'll both have great careers for us.
So, Logan, you had to do it in past seasons, and this year again, you're that ambassador. You're the guy that's been around a long time, and you've known him a long time. I would think you're a sounding board for some of the newcomers. A guy like Bubba Parham can relate to you because you're probably about the same age and, you know, older than most guys. What's it been like for you now, even growing your leadership role in that regard?
It's been a huge opportunity. I've really enjoyed the groups of guys that I've got to be around, but particularly this group. It's just been really good for me to be a part of a program that's sticking and is really taking off in the right direction. When you get new guys in, like you said, you got JUCO guys and guys that are really going to help this program take off in future years. It's just really cool to kind of lay those tracks for them to really excel because they're really good players and you want to help them every day. So that's what we do. Every day we grind on each other and just try to make each other the best that we can be. So I've never really been that guy that's been like a leader role, kind of been a guy that's always followed, you know, leaders. So it's been huge for me to fill in that void and take on that role. So I've really, really enjoyed it, and I think it's going to benefit me in the long run.
This is a really good three-point shooting league. You guys, 34%, okay, but you were down there. But you get your top 4 scorers back. You bring in a guy who's shown on the D1 level. He can hit them from way downtown. Is that one area that you and the staff evaluated during the offseason as to where you've got to be better in?
Yeah, you just look at basketball, high-level basketball, and for the most part, the teams that are shooting the ball from 3 are some of the top teams in the world, right? Think of the Warriors, right? You know, so, you know, the guys that we brought in, we needed them to be able to shoot the basketball, but we also needed to improve as a team on that. On the other side of the ball, this is the best three-point shooting league in the country. So we got to do a better job of ourselves of getting out there and not letting teams get threes off, because in our league, a three-point shot that gets off is a good shot for the other team. So we've spent a lot of this all season focusing on that. I think that we're really made massive strides defensively. You know, I really do. And so I'm looking forward to that showing up this season. You know, we're going to have to take away the three in this league, or we're sitting right here at the floor where the conference tournament is. You won't be playing too many games here if you don't.
Yeah, it wasn't far from here that a 3 was the last shot taken
that's
in the
right.
SoCon season, with the clock showing zeros as the ball was in the air.
Yep.
And it tells you how important it is. Final thought, Logan, I would think a lot of things are being emphasized as to how to improve on 21 wins. And you mentioned it before. You know, you've got somewhat of a cohesive roster with so many guys coming back. That hasn't been the case during your time there. 21 wins last year. This probably, it feels like you're on a whole different planet than the program you arrived at a few years ago.
Yeah, so we've really recruited well. The coaching staff we have has really done a great job getting the right guys in here, guys that want to win. Overachievers is what we like to call them, because everyone's always in the gym. You know, no one wants to leave. So it's just really been amazing to see that culture change and be a part of something like that. You know, like you said, a 21-win season. Not a lot of teams get to say they do that, and we're just hungry for more. We know we can do more. So this year we're just really excited to pick up where we left off.
All right, Logan Dye and head coach Bucky McMillan of the Samford Bulldogs. We're sitting here at midcourt right now. Maybe sometime on a Monday night in March, you're going to have the team sitting on chairs just down there in a late game timeout, trying to bring Samford the Southern Conference men's basketball championship. And we continue with our Southern Conference basketball preview after this.